When I built this shed, I put some R7.5 rigid styrofoam insulation behind the cladding, and now I'm curious how warm I can get it with a space heater in the winter. And I'll be using this DREO space heater, and DREO also happens to be the sponsor of this video. And to record my measurements, I've actually got several temperature sensors, one here, one further down, and one at the bottom, plus another one just outside here, all connected to a little Raspberry Pi computer to log the data. This is also connected to my Wi-Fi, and I've also got a smart plug for monitoring how much power I'm using. Let's turn this thing on, and it's going to try to get it to 60°F, and I'll turn on the oscillating feature, which will distribute the heat a little bit better. And now I'll just leave all this alone for a bit, close the door, and watch the data from inside the house. That heater's been running for 20 minutes now, so let's see how it's doing. So the heater, when I turned it on, immediately drew 1,000 watts, kept going at about that same power level. Voltage dropped a little bit, and the temperature, of course, immediately started to rise. I've imported my data into trusty old Excel 2000, and here's a graph of the first 20 minutes of heating. The blue line is the heater power scaled to fit on the graph. The purple line is the outside temperature, which is rising slowly over the day. And the inside the shed temperatures actually started out below the outside temperature because it's been a cold night. And then we can see it rises very quickly, staying a bit cooler near the floor. But already we're at about 14 degrees. I've also scaled this to Fahrenheit, so we're starting at about 23 degrees inside. And then here we're already up to about 58 degrees at head height. That heater's been running for 2 hours now, so let's have a look. Whoa! It is balmy warm inside the shed now. And the heater is just shut off because I guess it's hit its temperature set point. And looking at the roof, I can see there's a line of melting right about here, which happens to be where one of the purlins is. There's insulation between those, but the wood itself doesn't insulate as well. Here's my temperature graph over 2 hours, and it hit 25 degrees at head level when the heater hit its set point. And given that slope, I think it could have easily gone up by another 5 degrees before it reached equilibrium. When the heater did turn off, it was actually only off for about 5.5 minutes, and the temperature dropped by about 7 degrees on all readings. There's also a persistent difference of about 7 or 8 degrees between head level and foot level. And here's the same graph in Fahrenheit, and interestingly enough, the foot level sensor was about 62 degrees and the heater was set to 60 degrees, so pretty close at floor level. Of course, further up it was much warmer. And now turning off power for that heater with my smart plug to watch the shed cool down again. And here's the 2 hours after turning off the heater. You can see, of course, it dropped getting closer to the outside temperature, which is by now risen to about 2 degrees. But surprisingly, it's dropping off fairly slowly, so that shed does seem to be retaining some heat. And same graph again in Fahrenheit. This heater also has some safety features like tip-over protection. Let's try that out. Okay, I think now it's going into shutdown mode. The air coming out of it is no longer warm, so it's clearly shut off the heater part. And let's see what happens if I cut off the airflow with a bucket. Well, it just shut itself off. I guess it decided it was hot enough inside the bucket. It's been off for 10 minutes now, so I guess it's not coming up on its own, so let's just push power. Come on. Let's try unplugging it. Turn it on. And there it goes. So I guess getting quite a bit too hot requires a power off reset. But I'm not done torturing this device yet. Let's turn off the oscillating thing and cut off airflow completely with a shirt. Oh, there's still air coming out, so I guess I'm not completely cutting it off. Well, I'm unable to quite cut it off. I guess that fan is a bit too powerful. It still sucks air through my shirt. Let's try that again. And okay, it's decided that's too hot and it stopped. Now the makers of these DREO heaters are quite proud of their safety. So let's try another test. It uses a brushless DC motor, and let's just stop it altogether. And it's still drawing quite a bit of power, but it's dropping. I can feel the fan trying to start. Power level is dropping, which is good because there's nothing taking out the heat. Not smelly. Power level is dropping some more, so it seems to be self-limited. When the heating element gets hot, it draws less and less power. And continue to wait here. Power keeps on dropping. I can feel it warm here, but again, no smoke. So it's shut off the display now, and I think just because the element is hot, although I don't see anything glowing, the power level has dropped quite a bit. Okay, it's now turned off the heating element. I guess it's decided that it's hot enough. Let's pull this out. And there it starts up again. Quite a bit of warm air coming out now because the element is so hot, although the heater itself is off. I think this may take a few minutes to come back. I don't want to wait that long, so let's just unplug it, plug it back in, and turn it on again. And we're back to regular operation. So no harm done to it, didn't even smell. And if I'd done that to one of these conventional heaters, I know from experience if the fan doesn't run, the elements get pretty hot and smelly before it shuts off. And now it's a few days later. Today is -16. Yesterday was -20. If I'd meant this as some sort of a winter COVID office, I would have had to at least double the insulation, and newer houses are required to have at least 3 times as much insulation as this. And I was just comparing this one some more to these two. The stream of warm air coming out of this one is surprisingly directional compared to these, which could be very handy if you've got some kind of bedroom office and you're cold. But if you want the heat to be evenly distributed, you can just turn on the oscillating feature. And you can buy that space heater on Amazon. There's a link in the description. You can also buy it off of their own website with a 25% discount code, which I personally couldn't get that to work. So I'll put the details in a pinned comment below.